Heather. Thank you guys for being with me today. I am here with Heather Lisle. She is the queen of putting out dumpster fires. I wasn't sure if I was going to say it or not, but yeah, she is a leadership communications expert. People come to her whenever they need some big problems solved in their organizations and their corporations. So, Heather, thank you so much for being with me today.
Oh, I'm excited. This will be fun.
Yeah, I am excited too. As you know, I love to talk to people about how it started and then how it's going. And so, why
Yeah.
don't you give us a little bit of background on you and how you got started, whenever you started your adult working career? And then we'll move into how it's going now.
Yeah. So I got started. I was in Oklahoma. I mean, that's what we have in common, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Started out in Oklahoma and worked in all sorts of different types of roles, primarily around communication. And my last job, I worked for an elected official, and I was for chief of public affairs. In my home state of Oklahoma. And that's where like the dumpster fire figuring things
Yeah.
kind of came into place. And truth, it was really during that job as to when I started dialing in to really figure out most of the people who came to my office were typically really upset about something. That's why they
Right.
were coming to see me. My boss kind of jokingly called me like the informer and the diffuser. So I could diffuse, someone who'd come in typically pretty upset about something. I could diffuse the situation pretty quickly, and get people talking to me rationally and calmly to where we could get to the root cause of the problems. And then I could inform them as to what the next steps were, like how I could actually help them. Yeah.
Sure.
Maybe how I couldn't help them, but just being really honest about here's where we are, like your podcast, here's where we are, here's where we're
Mhm. That's where
headed,
we
here's
want to
where we're
go.
going. And here's what we can do. Because at the end of the day, that's what people just want. They just want to be heard and know what the next step is. So
Absolutely.
we all want to know expectations, right? And so worked for her, and then my husband got a job transfer in Dallas. And so we moved to the Dallas area. I moved in January of 2020, and I feel like I could sound like Paul Harvey, and that's the
Mm.
rest of the story.
Yeah.
And COVID. And, I had had some clients that I had pulled from Oklahoma, down with me.
Mhm.
And then by March, April of 2020, I started getting emails, this project's been put on pause and it's been put on pause and everything's on pause. And with kids being at home, homeschooled, they were in second, fourth, and sixth grade.
Oh my gosh.
It was bananas. Like it was just crazy. And it was a dumpster fire.
It was of its own. That's so
And I was,
difficult because you're not only navigating changing cities with your family,
yes.
you're now also navigating how to make money
Yeah.
and how to homeschool your own kids because schools weren't prepared for that either, right? Nobody was prepared for that. So yeah, that's a lot to navigate.
It was a lot going on, and the constant pressure of making money and trying to figure it out, with, again, all the projects being put on
Yeah.
pause, but yet I still need to make money,
Yeah.
and I still have kids to pay for and that kind of thing, and it's like, "What the heck am I gonna do? What the heck am I gonna do?" And so I think the pivot point for me was because I mean, and, Amanda, you've done a lot along personal development and that kind of we
Mhm.
talked about that briefly before we hopped on and pushed record. But, for me, it was when you are in fight or flight mode, you are not thinking in executive function. You're
Right.
not thinking rationally, strategically, all of that. You're just thinking, oh my God, how am I going to get fed tomorrow?
Exactly.
Right. And so it really took some dialing in is to, okay, calm the nervous system here. And I know I'm gonna eat tomorrow. I know I've got
Yeah.
an I'm housed. Like, I'm okay. I'm okay. What skills do I have that are transferable that I can, how can I meet people virtually? I mean, what are the things that I need to do to make that happen? And so, but frankly, that took about 6 months to kind of start
Yeah.
figuring out because I'm in a brand new community. And so I started meeting people through LinkedIn. LinkedIn is kind of, I mean, I deal with a lot of corporations, so LinkedIn is really
Mhm.
a social media platform of choice, if you will. Um, those are where my ideal clients are hanging out the
Yep.
most. But anyway, but started kind of hanging out there, finding, one person here, and then this one person be like, "Oh, you need to talk to these 2 people, blah, blah, blah." And so it just kinda worked out organically like that, but still trying to figure out, okay, so my special sauce is, I solve dumpster fire problems. That's what I do. And so I just started talking about that, and then a dear friend of mine who I'd met, actually, we met in California at some in Huntington Beach. We were in Huntington Beach, California for some conference or whatever, and we found out that I was in Frisco, she was in Fort Worth. We're like, "Oh my gosh, we're practically neighbors," you know?
Right. Yeah.
And so we started connecting more on a monthly basis and that kind of thing in person here in the DFW area. And I'm a DISC, a DISC expert. It's another resource tool
Yeah.
that's there that helps people understand their communication style. She was like, "Heather, you talk about DISC all the time. Like, why are you not talking to companies about how you can help them with some of their executive coaches on DISC? Like, why are you not doing that?" And I was like, "I don't know."
And they're like, "Oh, that's a good question."
How? And so I
Yeah.
to fill that gap as to, oh, okay, the light bulb started going off as to, okay, this feels like me. This is the tool that I can leverage to help me to be able to build that next thing. And that's kind of where it grew.
Just kind of started and
Yep.
then snowballed.
Yeah.
I think it's a really important point of that is like, this didn't happen sitting still.
No.
You
Uh,
had taken the chance on yourself to go to a conference or do
yes.
something, and then
Spend money. Yeah.
yeah, which is scary a lot of times, especially when you are worried about your own kind of, I'll call it safety, right? Which is
Right.
like your home, your bills, your food, your kids, all that. You want to feel safe within
Right.
that bubble. So to step out of that with some form of confidence and knowing that something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But then not only did you do that, you built a relationship with someone
Yeah.
that then and you actually met in person, which I think we're missing a lot of these days.
I know.
You
Mm,
decided to get together and these things just kind of happened. So
yeah.
once you decided like, "Oh, yeah," like, it was funny how somebody from the outside saw you and turned on that light bulb for you,
Oh,
which
yeah.
with you all the whole time.
Yeah.
But
There the whole time, and I just didn't see it. But, back to the action point, I was listening to, I guess it was, Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi or something like that, earlier on as I was trying to figure out who I am and what I'm gonna do next. And Dean Graziosi was a big hu a as well as Tony Robbins, of course, but, I remember listening to him speak about you have to take action, like, nothing happens sitting still. It
yeah,
does not. You've gotta take the action, and I tell you what, if that action doesn't work, then you at least you'll know, "Hey, that's not okay, now I'm gonna do this action?" And there is I hear entrepreneurs and just, well, business people in general talk a lot about, "Well, that's not working." It's like, "Well, what are you doing different?" Well, if you're doing the same thing and you're not getting the result that you want and you're not doing anything different, like, on you. Come
yeah,
on now.
what's gonna happen? And I know that I feel like the word action is kind of trite these days in the entrepreneurial space. Like, oh, just take imperfect action. Like, I can't even, if I read that again, I'm going to like throw up in my mouth. It's just like, oh my gosh. But how else can we say it where, yeah, you are taking action, you're taking initiative maybe, or you're doing something. And that doesn't mean quitting your job and going off onto some tangent and hope it
No.
works. It can be going to a conference, it can be reading a book, it can be journaling, it can be so many things that it doesn't have to be putting yourself out on video. It doesn't have to be quitting your job and hoping something else works out. I think that action piece, I don't know why, I just feel like it's overused and underutilized. How about that? The word itself is underused.
Maybe
I
it's
mean, overused.
underutilized because, at the end of the day, people can talk all day long, but what are you doing?
Mhm.
Are you being strategic? Are you being thoughtful about who you wanna be introduced to? Do you know who your ideal clients are? Have you been thoughtful about what are the next steps that you need to take in order to make the thing happen?
Right.
Talking my husband, I remember when I first started out in business, I was such a perfectionist because I'd always had been in my corporate life, right? Of, "Oh, I need to make sure that the wording is absolutely perfect. I need to make I've gotta make sure that this is to the T exactly how I want it to be." And he came into me one day, and he just was like, "Listen, at some point, you're gonna have to get out of the test kitchen and put that crap out there and see
Yeah.
who pushes by.
Yeah.
Like, you're just gonna have to do that.
And it's not easy.
It is
We're
not
so afraid of being judged, and
and rejected. Ugh,
big
sucks.
fear for most people. And yeah, that's a big part of what I help people with too is getting to this point. Have you even thought about what you want? Have you even and so not even just beyond thinking, have you decided? Have you decided what it is you want? Like you talked about, just have you decided? Have you thought about and decided who your ideal client is? Have you thought about and decided what your day should look like that will make you happy? Have you decided how much money you want to make? Right?
Yeah,
And people haven't done any of that.
no.
Usually, then when they're
Mhm.
stuck, they haven't made those choices. They haven't
Yeah.
said, "This is what I want."
They
And
get stuck in the
especially
shame
women,
cycle. Oh, yeah.
especially women. And I talk about this a lot too, and maybe you can relate. This is totally from my own experience with raising children. What I want did not really matter that much. It wasn't about me at all. It was about my kids and what did they want to help, what do I need to do for them to help them grow? And from everything from what we're watching on television to what I'm making for dinner to where we're going on vacation, like every single choice of my young adult life and into more adult life was all focused on them. So whenever somebody would ask me, what do I want? It was just like, it's dead silence. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever anybody else wants, I'll go along with it. And so that's been a real transition for me personally as my kids are older now. Um, is like now I'm at the point of figuring out what I want, and it's tough.
So hard. It is so hard. But I do like we have to make decisions and we have to and again and oh, gosh, who was it that said not making a decision is making a decision usually. And I
Mhm.
never thought about it like that too. And it's so true.
It is.
I mean, when we sit on things too long because we're afraid, of whatever the thing may be, that indecision is preventing us from making progress on the flip side, and
Absolutely.
progress may be failure, but, fail fast, move on, kind of a thing too, right?
Yeah.
So
How did you make the transition between being an employee,
ugh,
which you were for probably big part of your life,
a
right?
long time, 25 years,
Yeah,
like,
so
25 years,
that's
yeah.
a long time to really be, like, under someone else's rules and
Ye
bureaucracy and promotion schedule and all the things. How did you go from that transition? How did you make that transition from employee to you are the boss of you?
Oh boy, that one that was harder, and I think the biggest piece of it that was hard for me was I had my own business, so I had to promote my own business, and so for me being the face of that and getting out there on video and writing the newsletter articles and doing all of that, I have always done that for somebody else, and so for me to do that, it was like I could do it for somebody else with my eyes closed
Absolutely.
and punch it out like nobody's business. But when it had my name on it, I was like, and again, husband would be like, "I don't understand. Like, you
I
could do it
know.
for anybody and everybody, that you can't do it for yourself." And I'm like, "Dude, it is a major block."
Yep.
But, I had a business coach who was phenomenal, and this is probably 4 years ago at this point, and Tiffany Carter was her name. And, she knew that I was just struggling with that. And, she goes, "Listen, I want you to kind of reframe here a little bit. You have knowledge, you have information that is so helpful for so many people, and if you just think of it like you're not trying to sell, you're just trying to help, like, you're just trying to help equip people with what they need in order to solve major problems. That's costing millions of dollars likely, you know? And so you're just trying to help. You need to reframe, you're helping people. And that was probably the light bulb. I was like, "Oh, I mean, that is what I'm trying to do." I mean, I'm not a salesy type person in the
Right.
first
Yeah.
place. I've always had the attitude of, if you like me, great. If you don't, go find somebody else. Totally cool. Plenty people, plenty fish
Yeah.
out in the sea, right? But I was like, okay. I mean, it was just these mindset shifts that
Mhm.
I don't know, that I hadn't even thought of, before I met
There's
her.
I mean, this problem, I'll call it, has been around since Aesop's fables.
I know, right?
Like
Yeah.
the cobbler with no shoes, right? He is great at making shoes for other people, but he and his family had no shoes because, like, it was just, it's the same thing. It's like you have no problem promoting someone else. I don't know what it is. And maybe it's
Right.
I mean, I'm not going to play a female card or whatever, but we're kind of taught, especially in the southernish
Oh,
way,
yeah. Yeah.
to just not, we don't want to brag about ourselves. That doesn't look good. It's not becoming,
Right.
right? And so when you go into promoting yourself,
Yeah.
those old things come up of like,
Oh my gosh.
you
Yeah.
shouldn't be bragging about yourself or you
Yeah.
shouldn't be talking about yourself.
Well, and
Not
let's be honest.
polite.
Yeah. And let's be honest, Amanda. I mean, when I started talking about what I did on social media and that kind of thing, I did have what, one or two people. They have since been blocked, but I did have one or two people that I knew from back home and that kind of thing, who I got a direct message from. It's like, gosh, you sure are on camera a lot. Is everything going okay?
Yeah.
I'm like, who the hell are you?
Yeah. I know.
I'm building a business here. I don't know what you're doing, but this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
When
You
you
know?
start growing, you may outgrow some
Certain
certain
people.
things, yes,
Yeah.
and people. I know that um, a friend of mine, she is an accomplished speaker and a coach and all these things. And part of her job, her own business, is traveling a lot and speaking on stages. And she loves it. She loves it, and her family loves it for her. But there's a few people on the outside, whenever she would see him, like, "Wow, you sure are gone a lot."
Yeah.
Like, basically insinuating, "You're a horrible mother
Oh, yeah.
because you are,
Yeah.
traveling."
Yeah.
And it really, at first, it kinda hit her hard because she then started second guessing a little bit, right? We've all been there, like,
Oh,
am I
yeah.
traveling too much? Am I harming my kids?" Like, whatever, but no. Those people have no insight on what, like, she's setting this most amazing example for her kids that you can go out and be successful and still be a loving, caring,
Yeah.
nurturing mother,
Yeah.
that it's just those dev underdeveloped voices that
Yeah.
come in sometimes and challenge your thinking, but
Yeah.
it happens to everybody.
Does. And you know what I say is this is too. There was a famous speech, Teddy Roosevelt. It's the man in the arena. I'm sure you've probably
Mhm.
seen it. That I really, in fact, I have a coffee mug with the main quote from the speech on the coffee mug, and it's like, are you sitting in the stands making these lovely comments, which most people are. They're
Yeah.
sitting in the stands making the comments because I want to shed blood with the man who's in the arena with me.
Yeah.
Like, if we're gonna be in the arena together, that's one thing. I will absolutely take your input and your feedback. But for the people who are sitting in the cheap seats making their comments, it's like, "Sorry, but, like, you're not here in the arena with me. You don't
Right.
know what my life is like." And
Brene
so
Brown also brought that back out, kind of
yeah,
revitalized that story,
so true.
also. But the thing is, it still stings when those people in the stands are saying things, right? And you have to build up this thicker skin or something to
Yeah,
allow it to roll off of your back. And I still struggle with that now. Like,
yeah,
of course, we want approval and we want acceptance and we want everyone to like us. And not everybody's going to.
yeah. I
And it's
always
hard.
say I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and I don't wanna be. I mean, it's okay. It still stings, but sometimes I just have to sit back and go, "Okay, they're not my people, and
Do you
that's
think you're
okay."
better at it now than, say, you were back,
Mhm.
even a few
Yes.
years ago, or
Oh, my
especially
goodness.
when you were from employee to now
Yeah.
owner?
Oh, yeah. 1,000% yes. I mean, I just turned 50, in August of 25. So, people have asked me, it's like, "So what's the biggest thing that you've learned over the past, several years?" And I'm like, "You know what? To be okay with just being okay, not everybody's gonna like you. Not everybody's gonna like the decisions that you make or whatever. They're gonna question, for me, like, question your ability as a mom, question your ability, like, 'Oh, wow, you travel a lot. Are your kids okay?' I've heard that too. And it's like, You know what? It still bothers me. I'm not gonna say it doesn't bother it absolutely bothers me. But once I take a hot second to, like, pull it back and go, "They're just insecure, and
Yeah.
they don't even know it
Yeah,
all."
my kids are okay, actually. They are phenomenal, like, beyond okay.
Yeah,
But it still does, like, make you think for just a second,
yeah.
but to get to that point where you're like, "Eh,
Eh,
whatever." You're disrupting the norm for them and causing them to have to think out of their box, and they haven't got the skills to do that,
they
right?
don't. They don't. And so and you find out really quickly who has skills to do that and who do not.
Mhm.
And I just really don't spend a whole lot of time with people who don't have those skills.
It's
It's
too tough. It's hard enough just to do it with the people supporting you around you. Like, and then if you add in some of the bad apples, then goodness gracious, you're
I
just
know.
making it harder on yourself.
Yeah.
So
So
how now do you work with corporations, executives? Because before, say, yeah, you were working with some elected officials and big
yeah.
time, organizations as an employee, but now as you're in your own role, what are some of the things that you do with those executives and those business owners?
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting. I use the disc profile as my tool that I use to be able to help some of the executives that I work with understand their communication style, the people that they're struggling with. We'll typically do team disc profiles is what we'll do.
Mhm.
And that is kind of the umbrella thing that I always tell people, like, just do it. I mean, it's going to be really enlightening to see, the people that you innately struggle with, there's reasons why, and it's likely because you misunderstand and miscommunicate with each other all the time. And that's, I would say 9.5 times out of 10, that's exactly what ends up happening, is that they see, with some of the reports that I'll pull just initially, "Oh, wow. Okay, now I see what
Yeah.
you're talking about." But then actually I do some trainings and just give them some I call it, how to read the room. How do you
Mhm.
communicate with people who don't communicate like you? And then for those executives who have specific problems with specific people, really digging in, I've got some pretty high profile clients that just keep me on a retainer and are just like, all right, having a problem with this particular team, these particular people, here's what's going on. I'll go in, do interviews. When I say interviews, it's more like, hey, let's just grab some coffee. Let's
Yeah.
just talk what's going on, kind of a thing. And then because I'm a third party, I'm not an HR person, it's hired internally or whatever. Um, it is and I don't know, my special sauce is I can get anybody to talk to me about anything. Like, it's I tell my husband, it's like, "The stuff that people will tell me, it's fascinating." Like,
But
like,
what's cool
makes
is
me
you're
laugh.
using data
Yes. To
to start, like, you're leading with that, so it's
yes.
not from an opinion. You're like,
No.
you have the concrete thing in front of them to then open up and talk about, not from no judgment zone, right?
Yeah, and a lot of the executives I work with require data, not and some executives are not like that. It's really interesting, but I would say by and large, 75-80% of the executives I work with, going in with the data piece is what they need in order to feel comfortable, confident, to
Yeah.
have initial discussions, you know? And so I go in, have these conversations, figure out where the pain points are and who's having trouble with who and why. And I would say, again, 9 times out of 10, it's because there's just a misunderstanding, miscommunication. Sometimes there really is some serious issues going on that somebody lied, somebody did something that
Yeah.
was like somebody may need to go kind of a deal.
Mhm.
And I give a report back as to and I talk with the senior level executive. Okay, here's what's happening. Here's what's going on. Here's recommendations. Here's what we need to do. And, if someone needs to go, let's have that conversation as well.
Wow.
So
That's does
really interesting.
do the people you work with, do they all have kind of a common reason to bring you in, or do they have their own different kind of objectives or things that they wanna have happen?
Oh, it depends. But I would say by and large, I get brought in because profits are down and they don't know why. And a large part of that could be that and what I see, again, major, big companies that I work with,
Yeah.
is that there's breakdowns in communications within department heads. It's like, "Stay in your lane, don't come into my lane." I mean,
Yeah.
there's types of things going on.
Very
And so
compartmentalized.
very. And so it's like, how can we break down some of those silos? I mean, I've heard that breaking down the silos, but
Yeah.
that's what you got to do sometimes too. You know, it's like we need to have a meeting of the minds, and they need a third party, not the HR gal.
Yeah.
Too busy with everything else going on to actually have conversations to get people on the same page.
Yeah.
So that is typically there's major revenue losses. A big one lately has been a major churn in people leaving their positions, and that employee retention issue is a
Mhm.
huge problem, which costs money to do as well.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that ends up with clients not getting serviced the way that they need to be serviced, and they're paying millions of
Mhm.
dollars. And they're like, why isn't so and so returning my phone call? Blah blah blah. I mean, those are typically the points where I get called in.
Yeah.
And or, "Hey, we're getting bought out by private equity, and the new
Yeah.
CEO wants to do this, this, and that. Can you help us with this?" The
Right.
messaging piece of it and helping us, figure out which butts need to be in certain seats on the bus to make sure that what he wants will happen kind of
Uh-huh.
thing.
Well, it sounds really exciting and very different from being an employee. Uh, but it sounds really challenging yet rewarding, I
It
feel.
is. It is. And, it's kinda cool, and to bring this kind of full circle, where I started, where I'm going, I've gotten to the point where it's like the clients that I go meet with, who I'll get a phone call, we wanna talk, talk through a problem or whatever, and it's really me kinda diagnosing, do I even wanna work with this person?
Uh-huh.
And it's nice to be, almost 6 years in, and at the point where it's like having conversations with people, and it was some of the executives that I talked to, and it's just like, "Okay, I really wanna work with this person because, man, this is more than just checking a box and reporting back to risk management that they talked to somebody about it. They
Right.
actually want to try to figure it out."
Yeah.
And I love working with those people, and it's so nice to be able to say to I call them the check the boxers. I don't wanna work with check the boxers. I
Yeah.
wanna people who actually wanna change, and I'm at that point in my business now to where it's like, I can
You
choose
can
that.
choose. Yeah, for sure.
So, it's been a journey, as we've talked about, it's been a journey, but, man, putting in the work and the effort in the beginning, of trying to figure out who your ideal client is,
Mhm.
and how are you gonna message to them, and what are the things
What are
that you're
you
gonna
going to do for them?
what are you gonna do for them? How are you gonna solve their problems? And making sure that your messaging is aligned to solving their problems, not just talking about the benefits of what they're gonna get from working for you or working with you or whatnot. That I've dialed that in,
Yeah.
and I'm in a different place now, and man, I wouldn't trade it for the world, you know?
Oh, it's so encouraging though to know like you didn't leave your job, your career after 25 years of it and then just go to this place where you are. It's been a journey
It
of
very much.
learning and trial and error and what you want to do, what you don't want to do, who you want to work with, who you don't want to work with. It wasn't overnight, right? And that goes back to what we were saying like take action, start the course and then you can correct yourself on the way, right?
I mean,
Somebody said today on a call that I had, you can't steer a car with no wheels.
yeah,
So you have to start somewhere. And then take it as you go. Mel Robbins also says, you don't if your goal is to have a sidewalk, you don't just have a sidewalk. It's brick by brick by brick that the
right.
sidewalk is built. And so it's the
Yeah,
same thing with the journey of career or life in general, right?
yeah.
One other thing I'll bring up before we end it here today is I know this last year I saw you promoting a book.
Oh, yes.
So tell me a little bit about that book, how it came about, and who it's for, what it is.
Yeah, so it is called Hold the Pineapple, Please, Purposeful Conversations that Build, Better Teams and Bottom Lines, and banana splits, but, uh, and the whole story is, the high level version of it is that when I was a little girl, 9, 10 years old, I spent a lot of time with my dad's dad, my grandpa, and we were standing in line at a Dairy Queen in Edmond, Oklahoma on 2nd Street, and he asked me what I wanted on my banana split, and I said, "Whatever you want, grandpa." He asked me again, told him the same thing. The 3rd time he asked me, and I was just like, "Grandpa, whatever you want." He just was like he got down, like, eyeball to eyeball with me, and he was just like, "Listen, honey, I need for you to tell me what you want because here's the thing, you have to tell people what you want in life, you're never gonna get it."
Wow, and
Was
you remembered
like,
that.
oh, yeah, like it was yesterday. Like, I remember the outfit that I was wearing. I remember how my hair was in pigtails,
Oh
I
my
mean, I
gosh.
remember it all. And, I struggled with that as a kid growing up because I had these men and my dad and my grandpa who were just like, "Tell me what you want, let's get it done." And then, my mom, who I love my mother, but, it was just very much that period of time where it's like children, especially girls, maybe it was a South thing, I don't know, but it
Yep.
was like children are seen and not heard kind of a deal.
Exactly what I was talking about.
And so I struggled with this whole, do I say, do I not say,
Yeah.
or do I do? And I was the oldest, and it was so
Mm.
crazy. But the book really is about how to communicate with people who are not like they don't communicate like you. How do you communicate with them when you need a salary increase? How do you communicate them when you don't like how they're handling a situation at work or at home? I mean, talk about the home team all the time
Yeah,
too.
for sure.
How do you have hard conversations? How do you talk to people that are not like you? Because we have to do it every single day of the week, every hour of the day. And so those conversations have to be approached thoughtfully, or you're likely not going to get what you need out of that conversation. It has nothing to do with manipulation. It has everything to do with meeting people where they are and the highest form of empathy possible, which is listening to them.
Mm.
Well, that's what the book is about. It was written, for executives and people who lead teams, people who are seeing problems with their teams not communicating well together, and then the output is that clients aren't getting serviced the way that they need to be serviced,
Yeah.
and that impacts revenue and that kind of thing too. So it's for managers, people who are managing people. It helps them at least understand how these conversations need to be helped. So,
That's
anyway,
awesome.
so that was the book. And, speaking of, again, another full circle moment, because I think about the comments that I got about, am I spending enough time with my children and whatever. So my book was a bestseller in 2 different categories, and I had the opportunity to go to New York to promote the book and, the whole,
Yeah.
New York Times Square billboard thing or whatever, and I had my kids, my 2 younger kids. I had my 2 younger kids with me, and they were so ugh, I'll, like, cry, but they were so proud and so
Uh-huh.
excited to go and see mom on the billboard, and they were pointing, and they were like, "Oh my god, that's my mom," and I was just like, "This is pretty cool too," you know? I
Yeah.
mean, so
So take that, haters,
take that.
judgers, take that. My kids are involved with every decision I make, every step I take, whether they're with me in person or not.
Yep,
So yours are too, I could tell.
yep, yep.
Where's the best place for people to pick up that book?
Oh, I mean, they can go on Amazon, and just type in my name, Heather Lisle, Lis as in Sam, Lisle, Heather Lisle, or type in "hold the pineapple." It comes up,
Okay.
okay?
I'll put it in the
So
show notes too. I'll put the link.
oh, very good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And also on my website, www.heatherlisle.com. So,
Is that the
anyway.
best place? Where can people connect with you? I'm assuming LinkedIn, but I'll let you answer.
LinkedIn is the bit I tell everybody, just connect with me on LinkedIn. That's where I'm at. I have I do push out content on Instagram. I'm just not as active on Instagram as I am on LinkedIn. So
Yeah.
LinkedIn is the best place. I am active there. So,
Okay, last question, then we'll be done.
all right.
What does the next year look like for you as we're kind of wrapping up 25 now and we're going into
Yeah.
26? What does that hold for you?
Yeah. Oh, I do a lot of keynote speaking. I will continue to do a lot of keynote speaking. Um, Continuing to do more work with my existing clients. And I was just this morning had a conversation about some really great referrals that are starting to happen and pull together. But I think the big thing for me is I am looking at rolling out, not looking at, I will roll out a subscription based model. I get asked all the time. People call me all the time. Help me have this hard conversation. I've got to have a hard conversation with so and so about such and such. And it has just been so much for the past 6 to 9 months that I'm like, okay, this is happening a lot. So I'm going to be rolling that out probably in February, maybe
Wow, that's
more, but
exciting.
we're working on it. So I'm super excited about that because that'll be a really great way. And it's a tiered model of how people can individually work with me. I work with a lot of companies, but then what always ends up happening is that my executives just need some support here
Yeah.
and there.
Yeah.
And this kind of solves that problem of here's how you can have access to me, you know?
Nice.
So
All
anyway,
right.
it's
Well,
coming.
exciting. That's so great. So, how it started and how it's going, it's still going.
It's still going. I'm
The
still showing
story's
up.
not over.
Yeah, no. And there will be more stuff, happens this next year. We'll see how next year
Wow.
rolls out too.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here with me today. I'll make sure I put all your links in the notes for everyone. And yeah, I hope we meet in person
That would be
in
lovely.
26. That would
Lovely, lovely. Either me in Oklahoma or you, like, get your butt to Dallas or
Yeah,
something.
that's right. I will. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you guys for being here with us today.
All right.